Hey guys, good morning. I just want to do a quick tutorial on selling puts and selling calls, and this is all with what's called a level 2 options trading, I guess, agreement that you'll sign with your broker. It's just a level of trading. Level 3, you have there's different things that you can do. Level 4, you can short stocks and sell naked calls. Level 3, you have to sign a margin agreement. You can do spreads, stuff like that. This is all using level 2. This is just using cash to do what's called sell a cash secured put, or we're going to buy shares in blocks of 100 to sell covered calls. So you can do all of that level 2. And I do that in a cash account. I used to have a margin account. I got rid of it. It was just a pain. I don't need it. And I use this for my livelihood. So, settlement, stuff like that, it's not a problem. I just have to wait usually a day or two for the trade to settle. And then it's no problem. I can get money out of the account easily. And then buy groceries, whatever I gotta do. But this is going over cash secured puts and covered calls and some super basic concepts behind those two. So call it a CSP. Okay, so we have a cash secured put and then a CC. Which is a covered call. Okay. So we're gonna have these two different concepts. And when you think about, when you first started getting into options, you'll be like, oh, I want to buy a call or buy a put. Well, this is actually inverted of that. And the way that it will work in your account is inverted, the way that you'll see the money work. But basically, okay, so selling a covered call is usually a bearish to neutral trade. I also like it for bullish. So you can use it for all three vectors of the stock that a stock could go in. That's just the position you'll take on the stock. Well, I'm mildly bullish to neutral, and maybe it can go down. There's lots of ways that a covered call can work for you. So selling a put is usually a bullish action, and you think that the stock will go up or neutral. Okay, so it's not. You could use it for a down, but that's not usually how you use selling puts. So that's just basic, position, and then I'll tell you about how they work. Okay, so we're going to go into the mechanics of a covered call. It's a very easy trade to set up. So a covered call we'll just call it CC for short, is you have to, we'll just do trade setup. You have to own 100 shares, and then you can sell one covered call. Okay, so what you're doing is you are giving Okay, my handwriting's terrible. I just want to write it out. But you're giving the buyer of the covered call the obligation to buy your shares at the strike price of the covered call that you wrote. And my wording is probably bad, but basically what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to allow someone to buy my shares at the strike price that I wrote the covered call at. So you're leveraging the shares that you have to make residual income or a dividend off of them. So you're not going to sell the underlying shares. You don't really care, so to speak, if the shares are up or down. You're in it for the dividend, which is the premium that you got for selling the call, okay? And that's usually what's called extrinsic value. And that's I'll draw it out on a chart briefly. You buy a stock at $9, you'll sell an out of the money call at $9.50, and that means that on the day of expiration, which is usually a week later, you set up the trade on Monday and it come in on Friday, and you're like, I'll let somebody buy my shares at $9.50, and I'm going to capture a premium. It's usually 2 to 5% of however much the shares are that you'll capture in premium. And that's the entire goal of this, is just to capture that dividend every week off of your shares that you own, and then make residual income. And that's all it is. And we'll just quickly draw that out on the chart. All right, so we're going to chart out how covered call works. So let's take a XYZ stock, and it's trading at $7. Yeah, it's all over the place. But let's say this is Monday, and you can't see any of this. So you come in on Monday, okay? You're gonna buy shares at $7. So you're gonna have $700 for 100 shares. Because in order to sell one covered call, which controls 100 shares, you have to own 100 shares of the underlying stock, okay? And this is, of course, on tickers that have options enabled. There are some tickers out there that don't have options, and you can't do this trade. So you'll have $700. You come in on Monday, and you're like, this week I think it might go up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to go over $8. So I'm going to sell, and as an options writer, you think about Friday. So you'll think about this time period out here, just Friday. Where will the stock be on Friday? Okay? You don't care about the rest of the week. This is Tuesday, Wednesday. It doesn't matter. The rest of this week, the stock could be all over the place. What is it gonna be on Friday? Okay. So I don't want to buy shares at $7, spend $700, and sell a $6.50 call. Okay. I'm selling what would be called intrinsic value. Okay, I don't want to do that. That's not a trade that I want to do right now. But what I want to do is sell that $7.50 call. Okay, so that would be what's called an out of the money, because it's over the current stock price. And I also, whether or not, I don't think that the stock's going to rise significantly over $7.50. I don't think it's going to go to like $10 or something. Okay, because there's ways to get out of that, but I think the stock's going to go maybe up to 750, but it's kind of going to, I think the stock's range bound. So you write the 750 call, so you have $700 that you spent, and then you got, let's say you got, $50 for the 750 covered call, okay? Which would be notated as 0.5 because it's times 100. So you just, that's just, you would move it over, and that's your actual value of the trade time. So, hopefully I'm gonna be able to. The goal, there's two goals to this. Is you capture your $50, and the trade closes Friday out of the money, and I just make $50 a week, okay, off of my shares, okay. Or the other thing is it expires in the money, okay, which is if the stock here on Friday, it goes up. Let's say it's at 760, okay? That means that my shares would be called away at $7.50 plus the $50 I sold the covered call for. Okay, now it went out at 760, so I have a small loss. Okay, but I would make $750 plus the 50 for the covered call. As a new trader, I remember when I was trading, I was like, oh man, I just, I want to get in all these stocks and write them up, and I can do this. And I realized that I was the most insignificant being in the universe once I started trading, and that my trade had absolutely zero influence on anything. So the idea that I was going to go out there and make it big and do all this grand stuff was a load of garbage. I learned that I had to be consistent doing something, and that was in writing these calls, and if need be, letting them get called away. That's okay. I can find another ticker, or I can do the trade again on a red day on the same stock. So getting your shares called away because it expired over the 750, okay? And what that is you gave someone the right to buy your shares at $7.50 or greater. The broker is going to exercise that transaction on the following, like the trade closes on Friday at 4, your shares will be taken by Saturday morning. They'll be gone. You'll just have cash in your account, but you'll have the cash from your shares. So you bought at 7, you sold them at 750 plus the covered call. So that's $800. Okay, that is not a bad thing. And that's if the stock, that's if the stock goes up. Gosh, I got too much junk out here. We'll talk about how it works if the stock goes down. Okay, so we did a bullish strategy, okay, for covered calls, which is if you buy the stock on Monday and then you sell a 750 covered call, and it closes at 760. Okay. This is a bullish. What about neutral? So we buy at 7, the stock, goes up to, and then down to, all right, so basically you sold that out of the money 750 call. It, on Friday, stock closes at 710, okay? That 750 call that you wrote expires completely worthless, and you got 50 cents for it. We'll just say it's $50. You capture that, plus you own your shares. So you own, whatever your value of your shares is at, plus at $50, okay? And then you can just go into the market the next week. You can write on Friday, you can do a roll, which is a buy right, or you can just wait and let it completely expire worthless and then just go into the market again on the next week and sell another call. And this is like an infinite loop, okay? It's never gonna end. As long as you own the shares, you can write calls, and you can write them at any strike, up or down, or in any date. Okay, as long as you own the shares. Okay, if you sell the shares, you're going to lose your ability to write the calls. All right, so let's quickly talk about a bearish strategy. So let's say we buy at 7, goes up to 710, and then it tanks down to 5. Okay, so I bought at 7. I can't see what's in front of me. Okay, this is a big question mark to me. I don't know, but I think that the stock might head in a downward direction. Okay, so I'm going to sell this 750 call. Okay. The stock tanks. This 750 call that I wrote is just done because it's so far out, so far away from the current strike price that it's not worth nearly what I sold it for when I sold it at $7, because the current stock price is at $5. Okay. We'll just say this is like Wednesday. What do I do? Okay. Well, I could roll, which is a buy right. There's tons of videos on rolls and all that. Basically, you're going to buy this old contract that you sold back, and you're going to sell a new one. Okay. And you're going to be buying the 750 back for less than you sold it for. Okay. And you're going to sell a $6 call or a $5.50. And if I'm really bearish on a stock, I'll write, I'll come out, 2 weeks and sell a little more time. But basically, I can the current strike price is here at $5. I could write over at $5.50. So that way I'm still capturing a lot of premium in the trade, but if the stock rebounds quickly, I can roll, up and out. Basically, I'm gonna buy this $5.50 back, and I'm gonna sell a $6 or $6.50 call. So what do we do if the stock keeps going down? Let's say it goes down to $4. The stock tanks. You're just gonna roll. You sold that $5.50. You can roll down to $5 or $4.50. Okay. And when the stock comes back up, you just roll out. Okay. You can just move with the stock and how you roll, and then you can roll back, and you'll figure it out more, the mechanics, but it does work with a bearish strategy. The only issue is you can get stuck in the trade if you don't play it right. There are ways to get stuck way out in time. You just sold too much time. I hope that wasn't too confusing for the covered call side of things. My synopsis is you have a lot of options at hand when you start writing covered calls to play all three vectors that the market can present, which is up, down, or neutral. There's not a lot of other plays where you can do that efficiently. The only thing, I guess caveat is if you start rolling out in time because you went down and then you went back up, if you end up riding a leap, which is generally like 3 to 4 months out, those leaps don't always work for you immediately. But if you're willing to wait, then you can make a handsome profit because your shares will be called away at whatever strike price that you wrote, plus the giant amount of premium that you wrote, which is usually extrinsic value. So you capture all that value that you wrote, that you sold, and plus the share price, or the shares that you had. So those trades can be they're not as lucrative as maybe just an open call or an open put could be, but they're extremely consistent. And that's why I just will not buy puts or calls anymore. I will just sell these options because they're so consistent. And just getting the cash out of the trade, to me is, I've just learned through the school of hard knocks to just do that time and time again, get the cash out. That's kind of the concept of being a broker. The stock could be whatever price, you get a percent transaction off of the deal. The guy has to take all the risk that buys the stock. You as a broker now, you just get a commission. Think of it this way. So that's why I just sell the options. I don't care about all the other stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'll still buy some puts or calls once in a while, but it's very rare. So let's go ahead and go over to puts. So we're going to be talking about selling puts, or a cash secured put. Okay. So what is a cash secured put? Well, instead of me going outright and just buying 100 shares of something, I'm putting up the cash to buy the shares at the strike price that I sell the put at. Basically, you're saying I'm going to be obligated to buy those shares at the strike that I sell the put at if the put expires in the money. We'll write that out. So I'm obligating myself to purchase the shares at the strike price I sell the put at if it expires in the money, okay? Or in the money, ITM. So we're just gonna quickly draw out and this is why selling puts is a bullish action. You think the stock is either going to go up or stay neutral, okay? Okay? We don't really want to be bearish on the stock. Okay, so we're just going to play up and down, or up and neutral. Okay, so let's take our $7 stock. I think it's going to go to $7.50 and then up to $8.50 and then maybe it'll come back down again. And I think that there's some support in here at, you know, at 680. Okay, there's an area of support in here at also at 650. Okay, basically a support and resistance level quickly is an area of buying demand. It's where it switches. It'll switch from people wanting to sell the stock because for whatever reason it's algorithmic or the demand isn't there, to an area of demand, buying demand, where the algorithms or the demand for retail to buy the stock is at $6.50 or $7. Okay, so that's a support level. It doesn't mean that that's a hard rule. There's lots of ways that it can be broken, but you'll see more buying action in that area. So I might sell a put if the stock is here on Monday at 7. Okay, we're going to take XYZ stock. Okay, the same stock we were doing covered calls on, we'll just do a put strategy. I might sell a $6 put. Okay, and I can collect a $50 or 50-cent premium for that, which is really $50. Okay, this is, I don't know if that's really what it'd be for that. But let's say I sell that $6 put as the stock rises, okay? That put that I sold becomes farther out of the money, okay, as the stock goes up. So $7.50, it's now, you know, and I sell a $6 put, it's now $1.50 out of the money instead of $1, okay? So now it's worth less than I sold it for, okay? That's just the basic, and I just have to put up the, collateral to buy shares at $6. Okay. So I sell the put. I have to have $600 cash in account. Okay. To buy the shares at the $6 strike price. Whereas if I sold the 7, I'd have to have $700. Okay. Basically, what the put strategy is, I don't own anything, so so you're not having shares tracking your account. So you own nothing. The goal. So I'm gonna goal is to sell these until assigned shares, or I want to exit the trade. okay? And I'm just gonna capture as much premium as possible. And you know, whether I get assigned, you know, if I'm writing it's kind of relative with puts. It's relative. So let's say the stock has, you know, this is 7, this is 650. When I have the cash, I either need to have $750 collateral or 700 or 650. Okay. So if for $650 of collateral, I can get, you know, I can get $50 premium. Okay. Maybe for $700, because the stock is in this area, I can get $90 premium. Okay. Oh, maybe if I sell an in-the-money put, which means that the strike, the current price, is at 7. Okay. But I could sell, if I have $750 of collateral available, I could sell this in the money put. And I could get $1.30. Oh man. But my risk of assignment at $750 is pretty high. But the reward is pretty high too. In fact, the reward for selling the in-the-money put is so good, I don't even care if the stock dips. Ooh, something to think about. So, you know, you have a risk versus reward. This is just something you'll have to think about. How much collateral do I want to put up? And the other thing is of all these 650s, maybe I've got $1,300. I could sell 2 of these bad boys and have lower risk of assignment versus selling 1 of these and probably going to end up owning shares of $7.50. So and don't forget, you know, this is out of the money, okay, for a put, because the share price is at $7, and this is in the money, okay, because I sold a $7.50 put. So there's a few mechanics to think about, but the rewards usually for selling in the money puts, if you don't mind owning the shares at that price, can be very handsome. But don't get lured by that, you know, unless you're really bullish on the stock or you're crazy like I am. I've been selling on AMC, puts on AMC. I think the stock was at $38 last Monday, and I sold a 41 put, and the stock tanked. No, it was at $40 on Monday. I sold a 41 put. The stock tanked down to like $33.95 or something. I was like, oh, this will be fun. And the stock rocketed back up, and I sold the next week a 42. I don't really want to go much higher than that with selling the puts, but I was pretty comfortable with that for a couple of reasons. But also the premium I captured was enormous. So if I own the shares there, whatever, I'll use a wheel strategy. I'll just start selling calls off the shares that I got assigned. I'm not going to try to exit the trade. So this is, you know, basic, you know, cash secured put strategy. There's lots of things to think about, but once you understand the mechanics, you can figure out what kind of strategy works for you, how much risk you want to take, how much collateral you want to put up, how long you want to get away with it. Because making the dividend that's what's going to make you money in the long run, is making that dividend. That is consistent action on the stock market, okay? And that's what's super important. Okay guys, this is kind of a long video. I hope it wasn't overly complicated. If there's something you don't understand, there are things that I did not add into this video. There are scenarios or situations where you'll have to do things that I did not talk about because you set up the trade, and then a couple weeks later, based on what the stock does, you can end up in different situations. And I have videos on how to get out of some of those situations, but I don't have videos on all of them, okay? You're gonna wanna have a good understanding of options and how they work when you employ a covered call or cash secured put strategy. I would encourage you to study about options, learn all you can. You don't have to know as much about it because if you buy options, you need to know what you're buying, when you're buying. There's certain times and conditions when to buy them. I don't really pay attention to that so much, except for the fact that I try to sell these calls or these puts when the stock is up or down or in my favor as a seller. I tend to think about that. So, as a general rule of thumb, you sell calls on rips when the stock's going up. You sell puts on dips, okay, when the stock tanks, okay, and hopefully it hits some area of support. Sell your put, stock comes back up, put worthless, okay? For the call, hopefully the call that you sold that was out of the money, the likelihood of you selling it on a rip, you selling that out of the money call, and it expiring in the money, your shares getting caught away is kind of low. So then the stock price tanks afterwards. Okay? And when the stock rips up like this, the call or put premiums are artificially inflated. What do you know? It's called Vega. Okay? So any strong move up or down, you have increased Vega. There's an option value. So there's 4, they call them the Greeks. There's 4 values. There's more than that really. But one of the values within the option is called Vega, or implied volatility. You want to sell this. You want to sell time plus volatility. Okay? That's what you're doing. And you're not going to get all this at once. You're going to need to start watching an options chain plus the stock chart at the same time. You'll want to have 2 monitors. I have 3. My trading station has 3 monitors. So I can have like a forum or a chat or whatever it is up on one screen. I can have my trading platform open, and then I can have an active stock chart open as well. And that way, if I need to have an options chart plus the stock chart, and I can see when the stock rips up, you'll see the call premiums balloon out, and that's when I love selling calls, because then the stock tanks a day or 2 later, and those calls that I wrote that were ballooned up, they just get destroyed. And then I make a really handsome profit. Same thing with the puts. The stock tanks and goes down, And what's even nice with the puts is I've noticed that even if the stock rips back up, the implied volatility gets dumped into the put value. The puts don't really even lose a lot of value, so you can still sell them even when the stock's starting to rise. They're great to sell when the stock's tanking, and they're great to sell when the stock's rising. You don't want to sell it at the top because that's inverted. You'll end up getting a sign. So just things to think about, things to watch. If you have any questions, and as always, none of this is financial advice. Trade however you want. I really don't care. And I'm not a financial advisor. Either way, good luck, guys.